Well, goodness gracious. Welcome. Welcome to the Philanthropic Planner Program. We've been doing this crazy thing for about 9 years plus, and people ask, why do you do this? Philanthropy is a boring, boring, boring subject. And I always respond that, I think it's important to the community that we talk about this boring subject, because philanthropy is important to not only the local community, but state, region, nationally, and globally. And what we try to do is avoid some of the legalese, and we try to simplify that complexity and talk about a language that we're not really conversant in with family and colleagues and neighbors and so on. So it is important to the community, and we'll dispense with our regular agenda and talking about local and state and that kind of thing, because we have two very important guests today. But it's interesting that title-wise, we talk about community and challenges and opportunities and so on. But today we have guests of Healing Meals Community Project, if I get that right. Mm-hmm. And with us is Sarah Leathers, Executive Director, and Ellen Palmer, Director. And I have to start off and ask you, not what I was going to send in my email, but ask you how and why. Wait a second. I got a letter from Sarah. It caught my eye, and I didn't throw it away. And I thought, I've got to interject this for 30 seconds. Sure. That Norma, my wife, the angel in my life, had stage 4 ovarian cancer about 4 or 5 years ago, and received a bone immune broth, if I have that right. I probably don't. But part of this heading on the return envelope caught my eye, and I thought, I got to look at this, and that's how we got Sarah and Ellen here. Welcome. Tell me a little bit about this craziness that you're doing.
So Healing Meals Community Project we are actually an affiliate of a nonprofit that my sister started back in 2007. And she started with the idea that she was going to help actually a friend of hers daughter learn how to cook. And they found a woman who had breast cancer, a single mom, and they started bringing her meals. And what my sister realized was, not only were they helping that family, the difference they were making in that teen was remarkable. And so out of that, my sister now, 8 years later, have over 400 teens that come into their program, and they've served their 400,000th meal from when they started.
Now, this is now expanded to 8, 9, or 10 different affiliations, which you are starting off here
Correct.
In Connecticut.
So
right?
we are starting one hopefully our goal is to start by the end of January, and we'll be the 9th affiliate around the country that has started.
Okay. Tell me about your team. You've got some kindred spirits.
We do. Ellen and I are both wellness coaches, and we met several years ago. And quickly connected on a lot of the same concerns about healthy eating, and also the importance that work that we can do with teens. And Ellen can talk more about that. We also have Emily Safino, who is also from Simsbury, grew up in Simsbury. Her aunt lives in the next town over from my sister, and is a big volunteer at Ceres out in California. So she is one of the other directors, and then her aunt, the other aunt, Ellen, is also one of the directors. And for years now, we've been saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And the best I could do in the last several years is to bring a immune broth to somebody and my sister's cookbook. And so I've been doing that for years now. And now I have the opportunity to make it bigger and really impact the community and the youth.
So this is a bad time for Bob to have a program about healthy eating coming after Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and parties and that kind of thing. So Little guilty here. Healthy foods, healthy preparation, and we keep talking about teens. Tell me about teens.
I feel very fortunate to be a holistic health coach, and I've had a practice here in town for 7 years. And what I've realized over the course of working with the local community, including teens, is that what we eat makes such a significant impact in how we feel every day, whether that's our mood or how much energy we have or our ability to have clear thought. And what's been exciting is to be able to help people heal through local food, community-created food, food with love in our own kitchens. And the other thing
We're talking about organic
food,
food?
Right. And that's the premise for the Healing Meals Community Project is we are 100% organic healing meals that are prepared by teens in our community. So one of the things that I realized while I was working with teens as a health coach is they really struggle in a variety of different ways, one with their health, but also in terms of their confidence and their leadership ability. And it's always been a dream of mine to have a leadership academy. And so what Healing Meals does, it has sort of 3 objectives. One is to feed local families that are having a health crisis organic meals so they can heal more quickly and more effectively. It's to empower teens to really help them develop their leadership skills. At the same time, really bring them a huge sense of fulfillment that they've helped someone in their community heal. And the third is really to educate our community and really strengthen it and really draw the link between what we eat and how we feel, not only as an individual, but how we feel as a community.
Now, the teens, in what I'm reading, are involved in the preparation of these meals?
It is a teen-run kitchen, which is what's so exciting. One of the things that we see all too often is that students are expected to do well in the classroom and they do well on the field or on the court or in a rink, but have they had a chance to really plug into something that they can really develop other types of skills, whether that's cooking or managing a kitchen? And so we're thrilled to have teens preparing the meals alongside of our executive chefs and our teen mentors right in the kitchen.
Tell us about the executive chefs.
So we're working with 3 chefs from the area, all bringing exceptional backgrounds with them. Most of them have worked in very nice restaurants in the area. We have one woman who is very involved in the farmers market in Hartford, so she's well connected with all the local farms, and that's a big piece for us because we want to use as much local produce as we can. And then another woman who actually works with teens, teaching them how to cook. So we're blessed that all these 3 wonderful chefs have offered their service for now. Obviously, we're a completely volunteer organization at the moment. So they'll be working one-on-one with the teens, kind of overseeing the kitchen, but really
you
letting...
have some health requirements in food preparation
Absolutely,
and that kind of thing.
absolutely. And they'll be key in training the teens how to cook properly and use the equipment and so forth. But really the teens will be doing all the prep and the cooking, overseeing. We'll have adult mentors in the kitchen as well, working alongside the teens, but really allowing the teens to do the work so that at the end of the day, the meals that they're preparing that are going to these families in crisis are coming from them.
Now, the teens are involved in the delivery of these meals, or?
We're going to be using Delivery Angels, so it'll be volunteers from the community.
Okay.
Most of the teens are going to be in the kitchen.
Okay. Now, who, you say they have illness and so on. In my wife's case, she was at that chemo stage and that kind of thing, and just having the support and knowing that people care is important. But the community involvement there for those people, that's primarily who you're targeting as far as people that have illness and they need nutrition, they need, it's not very good to have somebody think that they have to prepare their own meal, that kind of thing. So.
Well, as you know, when someone is going through chemo and radiation or even a chronic condition, sometimes they don't have the energy to cook a healthy meal, so they'll eat whatever Or they won't eat anything.
Or they won't eat at all.
Or they won't eat at all.
Appetite-wise.
And so much of when Catherine started this, and listening to her over the years.
That's your sister?
My sister, yes. It was so important for the meals to look beautiful. So there's a lot of color around the meals. You know, there's beets and peppers and orange and greens and so forth. So that even when somebody just says, I can't, I have no interest, you open up the refrigerator and there's this beautiful meal in front of you, there's a good chance they're going to try it. They know they should eat it, and so often they'll go ahead and try it. And it's beautiful because it's locally grown and it's fresh, and the flavors are all.
How do people contact is it just word of mouth? You know, if somebody has need, which is very important, as you're saying, how do they get in touch with Healthy Meals?
Well, why don't you go ahead?
Well, I was going to add something to your question before, too. Really, who we are serving, it is anyone who's having a health crisis. So primarily, it's about 85% of folks that are going through cancer, but also if someone's got a real bad diagnosis or a recent diagnosis of heart disease, maybe they've had a heart attack, or maybe
Right.
they're suffering with diabetes, or perhaps they've had an accident. So anyone who's really in that situation
They're
should
coming
reach
off
out.
of rehab?
They could be coming off of rehab,
Yeah.
yes. And so what's interesting about our program too, not only is it 100% organic, but we feed the whole family. So if one
didn't know
person
that.
is suffering a healing or a health crisis in a family, it affects the whole family. It can't help but, you know, to your situation with your wife, she was living it day in and day out, but as were you. And so it's really important that everyone in the family really get that nutrition and also feel that warm community support, which is so important in terms of healing. So I just wanted to add that piece. It really is, yes, for folks that are dealing with cancer, but also those other really tough diagnoses as well.
People are referred by their family or doctors or
Both, really. It could be doctors that we're going to partner with in the community, the cancer center in the community we're going to be reaching out to. But also, we have a whole screening process, and so people are really invited to reach out to us. They can go to our website, healingmealsproject.org. We're
Okay.
getting used to
Yeah.
that. And they can reach out to us there, and we'll take them through the whole process.
Now, about 6 months ago, last year, one of the programs was philanthropic planning is no walk in the park. We have challenges and there are obstacles to overcome and so on. You are obviously committed and excited about what you're doing. Many challenges. And one of the reasons that I saw your letter was this is valuable to the community, and we're talking about different ways of being a philanthropist, and one of them is donating money, certainly, which we'll get to in a minute here, but it's the volunteering, it's the community, it's getting teens involved. We hear a lot about teens and poor eating habits and that type of thing, obesity and that type of thing, but this type of thing is resonating across the country, and we know the need is there, but it's people like you that are attempting to meet that need, and I compliment you on that.
Thank you.
But very challenging, very challenging. Let's talk about the cost of these meals. Where does the funding come from? If we're talking about whole food, we're talking about buying fruits and vegetables and organic food. Where does the money come from?
Well, donors. And for Catherine, for Ceres Community Project, 85% of the funding that they receive is individual donors.
Really?
85%. They do get grants, they get several grants, but the bulk of the money that they receive is from individuals. And the impact, you know, part of that is the impact that they're having on that community is so profound that people want to be a part of it. They want to be volunteers. We spent a week out in California training, and we were able to see what the teens do in the kitchen. We were able to see the impact the delivery angels have. We met a man he's retired. He's been a delivery angel for 5 years. He said many times he delivers the meal, he never sees the person, but he knows his job is so important. Right. And he said, of all the work that I've done over the years, this brings me the most.
Now you're talking about starting with one meal, and now we're talking about hundreds of thousands of meals. So,
and so that's a lot of food.
One at a time. One meal at a time.
Right.
One meal at a time.
Right.
But we're again, we have many local farms in the area. We've made a lot of great connections already. We do have a connection through Ceres. Catherine is affiliated with their Whole Foods National, and we're working with them now to, again, whether it's food that is donated for them or on a reduced cost, we're hoping that will work out for us, as well as we have wonderful the local farms that we have here. So we're starting to make all those connections, and you know, any more information, if there's people out there who have good connections with people, we'd love to talk to them.
Philanthropy is an interesting phenomenon. It's such an important part of our country, our foundation. We go back a couple hundred years and find out that de Tocqueville said one of the unique things is our ability to identify a need and to address that need and come together as a community. There's an incredible need here that we're talking about, nutritious food. We talk about people. We're in a world of actuaries here, and our program, they know that we come out of the insurance capital area of the world, so we have more than our share of actuaries. Actuaries talk about longevity and mortality and that kind of thing, and we know that of the people that die each year from diseases and related problems, that probably 50-55% of those people could have lived longer if they were eating properly and preparing organic food and that type of thing, getting good coaching and that kind of thing. So what you're about is very important. You mentioned grants. It's always disappointing, and people, I only have one person now that watches, and she only watches once in a while. That's my wife. My mother down in Florida, she used to watch once in a while, and she died last May. But one person, actually, that's not true. I've run into people that say, whoa. We have a lot of people in our financial planning business, and we promote philanthropy in our business, say, I would like to do more if I could. I'd like to do more if I knew how. If I could is capacity. Knowing how is relating to people. It's amazing to me that people would like to give more and they don't know who to give to.
Exactly.
Okay? So it's important to get the message out. And one of the challenges that you have, and I'm sure you've talked about this, and I'm sure the training, I'd like to know more about the week of training, is to get the word out. And it becomes contagious. And when you have people like your sister start with one meal and now tens of thousands. So one of your challenges is getting out there. But the other challenge is I'm disappointed, and this is a recurring thing, that grants only represent maybe 15%. The Hartford Foundation of Public Giving should be on your list. Grocery stores, emphasizing whole foods. Now, we don't have Publix and Kroger's here, but we have grocery stores that are aware of the growing phenomenon, I'm going to call it, awareness, the growing awareness of healthy food and that type of thing. So I would think, and we'll talk about this later, but you have a whole list of corporate, foundation, non-individual, even though we want individuals in that 85% is impressive. But your challenge in a short time is the first 6 months is frustrating. The next 6 months is, can we do more? And then your volunteers, the word of mouth is very important. Some things that I haven't asked you, what would you like to share with our audience that we didn't talk about?
I wanted to tap into what you were just saying, because I think so often people really have a deep desire to help and to give back. And
They do.
some folks have money, other folks have time. And really, there's nothing too small or too big if people really are wanting to contribute. And to your point, corporate sponsorships or folks that this really resonates very deeply with, that would be a huge help for us. You know, if you know someone that this would resonate with, we'd love to talk with them, whether that's someone on a foundation or if someone's got a particular grant that they know of that would be a really nice fit.
Gifts
We
Yes.
have
for individuals.
one of our
Absolutely.
donors so far has asked us to reach out to their corporation. But all of that's really helpful. A referral to a grocery store, folks that are interested in working in the kitchen, people that have access to contacts within farms, or we're going to be doing some of our meats potentially from a farm outside of Connecticut. Any of those types of gives are really, really helpful to us.
We're in the land, as I mentioned, in the land of insurance companies. Something I read maybe on your sister's site, what have you, the cost savings in healthcare in not coming back to the hospital,
Exactly.
not needing additional care because now they are eating better. If I can save an insurance company X dollars and replicate that in the thousands, maybe the insurance companies, I don't know if they're involved with your sister or not, but there's an incredible message, and they're a part of the community,
Right.
and they are interested in saving dollars. But eating healthy is a part of their mantra also. We just need to get the message to them that your organization is there.
Exactly. And also, I think, there's the other side is you go into the grocery stores now, and often you'll find the organic areas are dwindling. People, that's what they're gravitating to. So we're turning the corner, and people are understanding the importance of the healthy eating. It's when they're in crisis that they struggle the most with. There's a little bit more work involved to cooking real food.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to pick up something packaged. But even what I think is important too is that we have a wonderful, Simsbury is an amazing community and a support for families. We know we've got lots of families in town who've been in crisis, and we wrap their arms around them. The important piece is the nutritious meals. Somebody going through cancer, it's lovely when somebody brings a lasagna or something, but that's not the best meal for that person or the family. But we're able to do that now. Mm-hmm. And there are families, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that for Ceres, more than 80% of the meals that they serve are for those in the low income.
Okay.
We have the opportunity here to be, and then 15, I think it's about 15% of the meals that they serve are for people who can afford the meals, and the money that they give for those meals are helping another family. Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing right there. Families in crisis, they're getting these healthy meals, and they're also helping another family. And we're gonna implement that as well, because there are families here in our community that do have a great support system, and families and friends will make organic meals for them, and that's wonderful. We want to serve those who don't have that support system, and I think that's a really, really important piece to understand. And in this community, we do have many families that are low income, and we forget about that, and so we're able to do that. And when we start, we're serving the Farmington Valley greater community. So that'll include Canton, West Hartford, Bloomfield, Simsbury, Avon, Granby.
The Valley.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the teen influence. And a lot of times I'm talking about how from the government, I can't get into politics, top to bottom, corporations, top to bottom. With the teen, we're talking about from the bottom up. And the word of mouth with teens is, and I'm assuming that their exposure to this influences their own family. And I read that teens are getting involved in the preparation of meals, where according to some USDA did a study or something of the California thing.
Correct.
And, the experience of the teens and the influence in their families, pretty interesting stuff, you know.
It is pretty interesting. I mean, this is the sickest generation of kids this world has ever seen. So something has got to change. When you look at our future leaders, it's happening now. We not only have to teach them leadership skills, we have to teach them how to be healthy. So one of our not so ulterior motives is really to get kids into the kitchen and really becoming familiar with the different types of healthy vegetables and grains and lean proteins and healthy fats, and really get them in there and get them excited about it, because that's what's going to change our future.
Right.
Is really rethinking how we fuel our bodies, how we really fuel our economy, and fuel our community. And so get them working with our local farmers. Eventually we'll have a garden. Our intention is to work out of a local kitchen and a local community garden here, but then eventually we'll have our own building and we'll have our own very large garden and replicate that model throughout the state of Connecticut with several different locations.
And that's what
And
you
really-
saw in California was...
Yeah, they have 3 different locations that they're working out of now, and you know, they started with just one like we are. They started with 4,500 meals that first year. We're going to start
Yeah.
with about 7,800 meals in our first year.
Say that again now. How many meals?
About 7,800 meals in our first year.
Wow.
It'll be significant.
That's about 132 families. Is that right?
That's about 32
Oh,
families.
32
It's
families.
about 144 meals
meals
per week,
Yeah.
Wow.
approximately. Created by teens who are not only learning how to create health within themselves, but also to take that back to their family.
Right.
They're very influential with that. Also to learn how to really interact with other teens in their kitchen community, but also interact in the greater community.
With other teens.
Exactly.
The word of mouth there and our social media and so on. We're coming to the end. I told you this would be fast. I have an envelope here with 2 checks, one personal and one company matching. So,
Thank you so much.
one, I wish you a great deal of luck. It's going to be challenging, but the opportunity is there. And when we look at a need and we combine our social forces with community spirit, and I just encourage you to keep the faith and keep your head on a positive way. And
Thank you so
good
much.
luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you
luck
so
to you.
much. We're up for the challenge.
Come back again next year and give us an
Absolutely.
update.
We'd love to.
I'd love to do that.
Absolutely.
I'd love to do that.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
you're brave. You're brave. Putting up with me. Everybody says, oh, no, not with Bob.
No,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming. Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.